Incorrect. Bill Maher.
Thank you, folks. All right, let's bring our panel. He has his very own radio show, Talk Back with Bob Larson, and on the Internet Broadcasting Network, and his new paperback novel is Shock Talk. Bob Larson. Bob. Good to see you, sir. All right, he is a recent University of Texas graduate and the author of Life Strategies for Teens. I need to read this. Jay McGraw, ladies and gentlemen. Jay, how you doing? A very funny comic actress with 2 Golden Globes and an Emmy, and she is my friend Shelley Long. How are you? Thank you for your plants. And he dishes out a little bit of the old ultraviolence during the Malcolm McDowell Tribute, a film retrospective held all weekend at the Egyptian Theater here in L.A. Malcolm McDowell. How are you, sir? Good. Thank you for coming.
Nice to see you. Good to see you.
Okay.
Shelley.
All right. Now, this is impressive. That you're how old are you?
21.
21, and he's already got a book.
Hey. What can I say?
And your father is Dr. Phil, right? The famous Dr. Phil, Oprah's boyfriend?
Hey.
Okay. Let me bring this up for you and the panel, but I think maybe you'd be especially good to comment to this. I was watching on the news, the people are graduating from college these days, and I noticed when they are getting their diploma, they're all on the cell phone to their parents. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
You know, Chelsea Clinton was even on the cell phone to her folks. God knows what that was about. But, you can actually see them on the news. You can read their, I love you, I love you. And that's a moment where I agree, okay, to say I love you. But I have to say, we were talking about cell phones last week, and you hear a lot of people on cell phones, too much, just to begin with. But there's a lot of I love yous. You know, yes, I'll pick up the milk, I love you.
Yeah. But if you think about, parents and teenagers, a lot of people say, well, parents are too easy on their teens, too easy on their kids. They say, I love you too much. They say, oh, you're so great too much. They're teaching them no responsibility. They're not learning anything, and they get away with everything.
You're making my point for me.
But I asked, what's the better alternative? You've got 2 extremes, either saying I love you too much or not enough. And I think the lesser of the 2 evils is to say it too much.
I agree.
Okay, what are we going to talk about now?
Why do we... Wait, you all agree with that? You're all wrong.
Wait a minute, Bill. Okay.
Wait a minute. Say that.
You know, my parents actually never said, I love you to me. I mean, that's fairly obvious, though, isn't it?
Look how he turned out.
Bill, I'd like to ask you a question.
And you're a huge success.
Well, that's another thing, you see, because I had to get out and do something to try and prove to them that I was worthy.
Right.
And, of course, I never did. How many kids do you have?
How many kids do I
Yes.
have? None that I know of.
Well, all I can tell you is, if you do have kids, you want to tell them all the time,
Yeah.
I love you, I love you, I love you.
And Jay, if I may differ with you for just a second, I think there's a big difference between showing your affection for your children and showing them that they are a valuable human being.
Absolutely.
And what you were saying, which is, people are saying there's too much of that. Never too much of that. I'm sorry, Bill, in my opinion, no, not too much of that. Yes, too much of not setting guidelines, boundaries, being disciplined. That is where I think parents are making their errors. But I don't think, yes, I think I love you is said to kind of cover, oh, I'm a big fat idiot and a pig, but I'll say I love you and it'll all be fine. And that's not right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not right, but that's like relationship stuff. We're talking about parenting, and parenting.
And your point would be,
you can't confuse word and deed.
Your point would be.
Yes.
What would your point be?
But.
Sorry, I thought I was speaking English. I'm sorry.
What kind of love are we talking about? I mean, we're talking about parent-child love.
I think I should say I love you in a sincere way. A sincere way to your lover, your spouse, your child. I don't know Bob well enough yet to say that I love him, but as a human being, but to say it in a, I'm going to cover a mistake I just made, or I'm just going to throw this out as an easy close to a conversation. If there isn't sincerity behind the I love you, then it is gratuitous.
You have to act that way as well.
Then you're agreeing with me.
Well, I usually can find some way to do that.
So you're saying it's just lip service. It's just a catchphrase.
I'm saying sometimes
It's become have a nice day.
Sometimes.
That's how much I love you means now in America. Have a nice day.
Oh, that is disgusting. I can't stand it when people say have a nice day. I mean, what is it to do with them anyway? If we're getting on to nice day, I really feel offended by that. I hate it. Oh, don't give me have a nice day, for God's sake. If anybody ever says that to me, I'll go, no, I won't. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. We're not talking about that.
And you'll have a bad day just to prove it.
No, I'll have a great day just telling people that very thing.
Bill, one of the most satisfying things for a parent is to have a child in a very unpretentious way. Just come and throw their arms around you out of nowhere and say, I love it. That would melt even your heart, Bill.
Whoa. Bill, don't take that, man. Come on.
It would do it, Bill.
Trying not to laugh, Bob.
Have a nice day, Bob. But, yeah, and that's the new Interesting.
Thank you.
Now, you know...
Look, love's a lot better four-letter word than that.
I'm the only woman here. I just realized that. Gosh, I got to get busy here.
Get busy, I heard that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, where's the line?
I think we all need to get Bill married, let him have some children,
Oh,
and
now stop. We pick on him all the time about that.
Don't subject anybody else to that.
But that's where you learn.
This kid, he's written a book. Is he married, too?
He's 21.
He's got a girlfriend.
It's a family that we...
You dedicated your book to?
Absolutely.
It's a family we
I agree,
learned what love was all about. That's where we learned the meaning of love. I agree with you, Bill. Cheap I love yous just passed around like let's do lunch. I love you.
What about a hug? What about a hug instead?
I agree that
hugs are good.
Hugs are good.
The worst thing you can do for your child, the worst form of child abuse known to man, is overindulgence. I mean, to say I love you and to say you're great when they have earned it in no way is cheating them because they don't hold themselves to a higher standard.
But you can say I love you even though they haven't done anything.
No, you're right, but you can't parrot it to them and just rote memory, I love you, I love you, I love you, just because they're sitting there. But you do have to give them incentive. You do have to teach them that they're a worthy person, so when they go out into the world, they hold themselves to that standard.
I think Malcolm's making a good distinction. I don't think you have to do something in order to be lovable.
I agree. You don't. I agree about that.
That's really an important distinction.
But constant praise is child abuse, in my opinion, because if you praise somebody for something they never do...
You are right on, brother man.
If you praise
You're now aligning yourself with him?
No,
yes.
I am absolutely not aligning myself with Bill Maher. But
I thought you were a really smart young kid. What is this book about?
But he's right. Maybe they don't have this problem in England, but
no, they don't have it at all in England because they never say it. They don't show any emotion whatsoever. I wasn't hugged as a child. Well, that's obvious too, isn't it? Yeah, I wasn't hugged. I was never told by my mother or my father they loved me. In fact, I think when I said to my mum, I love you, Mum, because of course I didn't know you had to say that. It was only when I came to America and everybody said it to me that I thought, well, maybe I should say it to my mum. So I said on the phone, hello, Mum, I love you. Big long pause. Didn't know what the hell to say. She went, well, I'm just putting the kettle on, dear.
But Malcolm, truly, doesn't she respond to it now? I mean, haven't you educated her that it's okay?
No.
Oh.
No.
She's English.
Really?
She's English now. I've got to be Irish in her, too.
Don't deal with that.
No way.
But do you have to hear it to know it? Didn't you know your mother loved you?
Of course I assumed it. Even I assumed that, Bill. I mean, yes. That is an assumption I made.
Nice to hear it. It's nice to hear it.
It's not enough just to assume it. We need to articulate it.
Because
I think our children have too much of evil in our society that sends them so many negative messages.
You're talking about?
I don't know.
That evil that you portrayed so many times, you bloody English.
I have to take a commercial. What the hell we're talking about? Employees at the Internal Revenue Service are alarmed, they're saying, by the partisan political letter that went out from the agency sending out that gives President Bush credit for the recent tax cut. The IRS says they don't want to be seen as promoting the Bush presidency. That is, after all, the job of the Supreme Court. Okay, now you all were fighting me on the love issue. If we have done such a good job telling our kids that we love them, tell me this. Why is it that in the paper last week, front page story, almost 3/4 of the workers in America feel that they are subject to rudeness at the workplace? They say it is too rude. People are being rude to them. They're being mean to them. How come we've raised...
Society's rude today. I mean, you can't even go through an intersection without somebody flipping you off because somebody thinks you cut them off. I mean, we just have general incivility in our world today.
But how come if we were so loving to our children? We told them we loved them, and now they're little bastards.
You know why I think people are so uncivil? I think because we don't
cut them off again.
I know. Come on.
I don't think we have a sense of...
I don't think we have a barn.
Pardon?
Oh, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean... I was just going...
Oh, good. My turn to talk. This goes back to what... I'm serious. This goes back to what I was saying before. That it's not how often you tell your kids that you love them. It's sincere.
But you did say that before.
I did.
So let's move on. What were you saying?
I said that we have to have boundaries for our kids, and that's the part that's missing.
Boundaries?
I think we've done a good...
What do you mean, sort of boundaries like with barbed wire?
Boundaries of what's right and wrong.
Right.
Oh,
boundaries of what's appropriate behavior and what isn't. Boundaries of, yes, I can be ambitious and I can care about taking care of myself, my family, proceeding with my success, but I don't have to do it at the expense of everyone around me and trample them on my way up.
But Bill, to answer your question, the reason why 3/4 of America is rude is because they get away with it. I mean, we have to realize that if somebody is rude to us...
Be rude right back.
Exactly. We don't do anything about it.
Why
aren't they going to do it again next time? I mean, it's like I was talking to my grandma, and she said, you know, when I was in the workplace and somebody was rude to you or somebody pinched you on the ass, you turned around and you slapped them with your hand. Right. Now, you turn around and you slap them with a lawsuit. I mean, you go to someone else and you say, Malcolm, that guy was being rude to me at work. Do something about it.
Oh,
but you don't do anything.
Sniveler.
You don't do anything yourself. Look, you know,
if you want rude, let me tell you, if you want rude, you Americans, you amaze me. If you want rude, try going to Paris, okay? You're like, oh, please. You don't even know what rude is till you've been there. And Bill, you know that.
I think people are rude because there's no sense of ultimate accountability. Exactly. I don't think there's any moral, spiritual, societal accountability that people...
What a load of
moral accountability. I don't think people have a sense of...
What is this guy's jag here? What is he talking about?
Now let me speak.
They do it because they get away with it.
They're rude because nobody has a sense that they are ultimately answerable to somebody somehow.
They're all Catholics, for God's sake.
They weren't answerable to their parents. They weren't answerable to their parents. They weren't answerable. They don't feel as though they're answerable to God. They don't feel they're answerable to their employer. Who are they answerable to for their conduct?
I agree with you, but if somebody's rude to me, they're answerable to me. They're being rude to me, not to my family.
You are you.
What do you do, Jay? How do you make them answerable to you?
You have to make them. You have to provide some negative reinforcement. When somebody's rude to you, Malcolm obviously is rude back. Whether it's
is it that obvious?
And it's apparently working for you, isn't it, Malcolm?
It works for me every time, and I love it.
You have to give them. There you go.
Okay, so. But Shelley was talking about boundaries. Would you go so far as to say, as I do often, that the problem is that children think that they are the peers of their elders? In your book, you talk about training your parents. This offends me. I'm not even a parent.
All right.
Yes.
I don't think kids should be training their parents. I think parents should be training their kids.
You're right.
Both? Why both? We are not equals. Children are not our equals. They are not just shorter adults.
But Bill, is it wrong to train my parents that if I get an A in math, I come home every night on time with my curfew, and I'm respectful to you, to my grandparents, and to all your friends, then you have to treat me with respect? I mean, what's wrong with teaching your parents that?
Boy.
Parents will say,
parents? Are you kidding?
no, I'm not kidding.
Are you serious?
People will say, but Jay, you're teaching kids to manipulate their parents. I don't think there is one parent in America that will care if their kid is manipulating them by getting an A in math to go out a little extra on Friday night.
I can't relate to this.
Because it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do to excel to the highest possible level that you could.
It's different now, Bob.
Well, it shouldn't have to be so self-aggrandizing.
It is the right
look
thing to
what
do.
happened when it went away. When it went away, we've got kids shooting kids in school today.
Oh, boy, it always comes down to that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Why doesn't it come down
And
to
I'm
that?
not saying
I made
train
a
them like
movie about
dogs with shot collars and treats.
yes.
You just have to say, I'm doing good, reward me in return.
But that should be the parents' choice. We should not have children tutoring their parents. I'm sorry.
I think, let me
You're
defend your
entitled
book
to your
because
opinion.
you're not defending it, and I've read portions of it. And one part I really like
She's
is that you encourage, whenever I can, you encourage parents to listen, Jay, and that's the part I know I forget it sometimes, and I dislike myself when I do it. Parents need to be reminded that they have to listen. They have to shut up sometimes, yes, and listen to what their kids are saying. And then they have their turn to say, okay, I get that. That's true. All right, I've heard what you've said. They can either say, I'm sorry, I still am going to overrule that. Or they can say, all right, I'm going to take that into consideration in terms
exactly right.
And we do that.
No, you're putting the kids on the level of the parents. It's all negotiations. I'm listening. It's the kids who need to listen, not the parents.
It is a two-way street, Bill. The kids cannot put their parents on a peer level unless their parents let them. Their parents have to stand up and say, I am the authority figure. I have the final say, but I will listen to your opinion. I will listen to what you have to say because I'm not a tyrant.
Of course.
I'm your parent, I'm not your ruler, but I am your authority figure.
But as my father used to say, this is not a democracy. We have to take a commercial. He didn't say that last part.
Join us tomorrow when our guest will be Crusader Aaron Brockovich Ellis. From Resurrection Boulevard, Elizabeth Pena, sportscaster Bill Weir, and radio talk show host Rick Roberts.
Here on ABC tonight, a new game show premiered called You Don't Know Jack. Hosted by Paul Rubens, better known as Pee Wee Herman. One unfortunate reminder of the past. At one point in the game, all three contestants were disqualified, and the host was forced to play with himself. Good for you. Yeah, all right. So, I don't know what we're going to talk about now.
I've got to make a point about what we said a moment ago.
Oh, God.
Yes, I'm going to make a point. The ancient Jewish principle adopted by the Christian religion was, honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with promise. If you want to live a long life...
That's not the first commandment.
No, that's what the Bible says. This is...
The first commandment is love your God with all your heart.
It says this is the first commandment with promise. Honor your father and mother.
What does that mean, the first commandment with promise?
No, to make a
means if you
promise.
want to live a long life and you want the fulfillment of what God has best for you, you begin by honoring your father and your mother. If we just practice that basic principle and teach that to our children, we're going to be a lot healthier society.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, no one disagrees with that, obviously.
The kids do all the time.
It's how you honor your parents.
True.
I mean, who's going to disagree with that? Of course, people think we should honor our parents. It's how you do it. It's just like any issue. It's how you implement it. No one is against educating our children. Some people want vouchers. Some people want public schooling. It's how you do it. And what I'm saying, what I think you are saying, is that if you allow... No, I guess you're not saying this. If you allow the child... If you allow the child to feel he is the equal of the parent...
That's the point.
That is not honoring the parent.
That's right. If the esteem issue of the child... And I don't think the child your primary concern.
And I don't think
it's making the child feel good then you're losing the whole point. It's
Right.
it's a matter of
Parents want to
honoring
be their
parents.
children's friend.
Right,
is
which
the
you
problem.
can't do.
They won't take the hit.
No.
That's it, that they're weak. They won't. It's tough to be a parent. I hated my father a lot,
Right.
and I thank him for it now.
I agree with that
You
entirely.
can't be their friend.
Do you believe in corporal punishment? is what
I
I'm
do.
saying.
No.
I do
No.
too, and I had it at school. I was beaten every Tuesday night.
Whether you needed it or not.
Absolutely, and you know what?
Tuesday was meeting night.
No, I don't believe in corporal punishment.
I think
But they have to listen.
and I don't think that corporal punishment is necessary, but predictable outcomes, predictable consequences to your actions are necessary.
Yeah,
You have to know
very
as a
good.
teenager, if I do X, B is going to happen.
That's the consequence.
If I come home late on Friday night, I don't go out Saturday night. You don't have to know if I come home late, I get whooped.
Right.
You just have to know there is a consequence. I know what it is, and now I can make an educated
I know what it
decision.
is if I don't take a commercial. I'll get tired. Overdue. Tomorrow, Erin Brockovich, the real one. Elizabeth Pena.